Good evening and welcome to the ordinary meeting of Council, the 22nd of September. I'll start with an acknowledgement of country. Lithgow City Council acknowledges the Wiradjuri elders past and present of the Wiradjuri Nation and the original custodians of the land on which Lithgow communities reside. The Council also extends our respects to our neighbouring nations. Declaration of webcasting. I inform all those in attendance at this meeting that the meeting is being webcast and that those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements concerning any person, councillor or employee, and refrain from discussing those matters subject to closed council proceedings as indicated in clause 14.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice. I note that all councillors are present. Is there any declarations of interest? No? I have a set of minutes that need to be confirmed, so confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Fredericks. Seconder, if I could. Councillor Ring. Is there any opposition to that? No? That's carried. Commemorations and announcements. On behalf of the Lithgow City Council, the Mayor expressed sincere sympathy and condolences to families who have lost loved ones since the last council meeting. Public forum. We've got one speaker registered, which is Bernard O'Regan. If you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Councillors. This is my second time standing up here speaking about this DA 123/24, which is Ledger Enterprises Pty Limited subdivision of 14 Claredash Avenue in South Bonfells. Again, I'm here to oppose based on traffic movements in the area. Tonight I brought with me the full DA of 123/24. That's it in paper form. It's a very comprehensive piece of paperwork. I dare say there's a lot of time and money and effort gone into this from a lot of people. The problem that I have is with this particular part of the DA, which is a traffic impact statement. And the problem I have with it is that the numbers and the details in this are incorrect for the whole subdivision. So the division in this piece of paperwork, Mr. Ledger, or rather the company, have taken into account the 54 dwellings, not the 190 plus that are also within the Strathlone estate. In that statement, they have mentioned peak periods, 42 car movements. Again, we've got to take into consideration the 190 residences of Strathlone on that site. I believe, honestly, if we increase the traffic flow through that area, we are going to put people in harm's way. It is a simple matter of, by increasing the amount of people there, we increase the risk that we put people under. So I ask you, councillors, please take into consideration this traffic impact statement because the numbers are wrong. The other thing that's wrong in this is that he mentions Munbinga Drive. It's always Munbinga Drive, Munbinga Drive, Munbinga Drive. It's as though the traffic just disappears into thin air by the time it reaches the end of Munbinga Drive. There's no mention of Limna Street, Rabal Street, or any of the interconnecting streets downhill from us. So I honestly don't believe that any of the residents in Limnos or Rabal, or the greatest majority of them, don't know about what's in this bit of paperwork. And I think serious consideration needs to be given to it. Councillor Statham mentioned the last time about maybe having another on-site meeting. I would be all for it, and I would be willing to help and assist in getting that meeting ahead prior to you guys making the decision. There was 43 objections went into this. That's 43 people that actually knew about it. I strongly believe that there's a lot of people that don't know about it. And I would please urge you, as I say, the information that's on this, it's not the full truth. It's numbers being used to favour your decision or to turn your decision in a way that it's going to be incorrect because, as I say, the numbers are wrong in that traffic impact assessment. So please, councillors, I really do urge you. Please.
Thank you.
That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Mr. O'Regan. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to anything that's currently on the business papers? If not, you'd like to come forward? No? Okay, thank you. There is no mayoral minute, but what I could do, if I could please councillors, is move a number of items by exception. And what I'm recommending is 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. Do I have a mover for those?
Can we please have some time to look at those, please? Before anybody moves it, I don't know if everyone else has read it and got the numbers, but I certainly have only just received the numbers tonight, so I'd like to have a look at that. Thank you.
That's in your business papers, Councillor Statham. So,
yes, and I've had my mother in critical, so I haven't had very much time.
Well, we'll come back to it. I'm happy to come back to you if you want to have a look
well,
at
can't
them.
you allow 2 minutes just while I have a look at what
sure.
they are?
Have a
Thank
look.
you.
Sure. 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. Do you have anything staring at you, Councillor Statham? Councillor Tyson? Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Marnie?
Got my microphone on
Yeah.
as well. I wouldn't mind if I could speak very briefly to 2.8, the line marking service tender, please.
Sure. So if we could take that one out, minute taker.
Yeah. The only one I'm interested in is the financial reports. They're just minutes on page 11.
Are you okay with that? Okay. If I could please have someone move what's on the screen, which is 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3.
I'll move it.
Councillor Ring, can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah. Second.
Councillor Goodwin. There's no opposition to that. That's carried. Thank you. The first item that we go to is 2.1, which is the nominations for an election for the position of Deputy Mayor from September 2025 till September 2026. I've got a recommendation here that I'm happy to move. Councillor Tyson, thank you. Sorry, I'm a little bit short in the arms. Thank you. So the recommendation that I have in front of me is that Council 1 note the report of the appointed of and procedure for the election of the Deputy Mayor. 2, hold an election for the position of Deputy Mayor for the term of September 2026. 3, Council use the open method of voting for the election of Deputy Mayor. And 4, the fee that is paid to the Deputy Mayor be nil. I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder? And then we'll go to elections. Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Right, it's carried now. So if there's no opposition to that, then that's carried. We'll go to elections, and I'll hand that over to the General Manager. I believe you've got 2 nominations.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. I have 2 valid nominations for the position of Deputy Mayor. Are there any further nominations from councillors? If not, we will proceed with an election. I have a nomination from Councillor Steve Ring and a valid nomination from Councillor Elizabeth Fredericks. So from here, it's a pretty simple process. So I put a vote for the position of Deputy Mayor, going alphabetically.
Sorry.
Just a point of order. I think when you do the nominations, you also move who moved it and who seconded it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I
Needs
can do that. Councillor Fredericks is nominated by Councillor Ticehurst and Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Ring was nominated by Councillor Coleman and Councillor Ring. So I'll proceed with an election in alphabetical order. So Councillors who wish to vote for Councillor Fredericks for the position of Deputy Mayor, please raise your hand. And I'll read out who has raised their hand also for the minute taker and for the live stream. Voting for Councillor Fredericks is Councillor Ticehurst and Councillor Fredericks.
And Councillor Statham.
And Councillor Statham, sorry. Now, ask councillors who wish to vote for Councillor Ring for the position of Deputy Mayor to please raise their hand. And I have Councillor Coleman, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Smith, Councillor Marnie. In that case, I declare Councillor Ring as Deputy Mayor for the 12-month period to September 2026.
Thank you, councillors.
Call a division on that. Is a division required for that, or are you going to put in the minutes who voted for who?
It goes in the minutes, councillor.
Thank you.
Councillors.
The record of the vote.
If that's okay. Yep. Okay. Right, moving on. The next item on the business paper is 2.2, Subdivision 54 Residential Allotments 14 Claris Ash Avenue South, Bowman Fells. Any motions, councillors? Or what would we like to do in this space?
I've just got a question there.
Need a mover and a seconder.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So I've got Councillor Ring moving it, Councillor Statham seconding it. Would you like to speak to it, Councillor Ring?
Yes, I understand Mr. Reagan's concerns. I share them, which is why, when this previously came to council, I moved an amendment to seek additional clarification. We've got a result with stormwaters, and as much as I would like to have seen a gate, we can't do it. The RFS has stopped it. It's not satisfactory. It reflects, unfortunately, a long history of bad planning by this council. We're constrained in this matter. What has been proposed and what will be funded is a local area traffic management plan. It won't resolve all of the problems, but will hopefully address and provide management solutions for many of them. I know there are concerns with buses. I would assume that we can restrict where buses go if it's not safe. Mr. Edge comes up there shaking his head in agreement, so we can put controls on. We can put in traffic calming devices, but whatever's done will be done in consultation with the affected community. If we're to knock it back, it's not going to change. I've got no problem with knocking back development applications, so I think we've got a chance in hell of winning. But this one, we knock it back, it goes to Land and Environment Court. It's an unnecessary cost. We need to manage it, and that will not satisfy many of the residents, but I cannot see an option other than getting a traffic management plan in, which will help the residents as much as we can. And I note in the report, it does talk about seeking $10,000 in co-contribution from the developer. And I think that should be pursued vigorously, but we do need that study done, and we need it done before that development is open for the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Statham?
I think that we have to be very specific about this. I'm all for the future of our area. I certainly think more subdivisions the better, because it means people coming into our area or improving where they live, and then somebody comes to live where they live. I've had a look at this now twice, once with a landholder out there, and once with a person of great interest out there that has some interest in the development but is not the owner of the development. I think that we have a lot of grandchildren that we all love. There are also small children, way before grandchildren age, that will be going to that in that area around there. And I believe that we haven't given the thought to the danger with people coming out, of a morning and going to work. There's a lot of issues out there as we even speak. I was out there about a month ago and had a look, and there are a lot of cars that come from around where La Salle is. I don't think, unless everything is perfect, and I know it's gone back to council again, I think it should be absolutely perfect, and in no doubt that if that subdivision goes ahead, I'm all for subdivisions, that there has to be absolutely 100% for sure that they have dot their I's and crossed their T's. Because to me, this has been going on now for a long time. It's taken up a lot of council's valuable time, as it's taken up a lot of time of the residents down there. I think we do need an on-site meeting. I think the on-site meeting gives us as councillors, not engineers or builders, as a look at the real complicated issues that this area is facing. And I think that there is no need to stop the subdivision if everything can be done to suit the heavy traffic load. And there is a heavy traffic load around there. I hadn't been around there for a long time until just recently. And I believe we need an on-site meeting to give both parties a fair go.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Do you have a question, Councillor Tyson?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted Mr. Elwood to comment on what Mr. O'Regan was suggesting in regards to the traffic issues, or Mr. Edgecombe, in what Mr. O'Regan was talking about from the public gallery tonight, in regards to the plans, in regards to the numbers of cars. From memory, it was a number of cars that are not within the traffic study when we collide these two particular subdivisions, the current one, the existing, and the new one.
Mr. Edgecombe?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Coleman. The resident is correct. There's always going to be amplifying impacts of a development that aren't necessarily contributed by the development itself. But it's only the developer's obligation to assess traffic impacts generated by their development itself, not the flow-on impacts that would have already existed through that precinct. We can speak to Mr. O'Regan and see if there are specific measures that we can look to address to hopefully allay his concerns. That's one of the key aspects of a local area traffic management plan, is community engagement. Because I firmly believe that there isn't one solution to this problem. It needs to be a network-based approach that considers the entire area as a precinct, and we need to develop an integrated solution to improve traffic flow through that area. It's not just going to be one solution that can be fixed by gates or otherwise. So Mr. O'Regan is correct. There are going to be flow-on impacts to surrounding streets, but that's what the local area traffic management plan seeks to address. It's not going to be focused on one specific specific subdivision and the confines of that subdivision. It's going to be concentrated on the whole precinct of Littleton.
Further question, Mayor.
Yes.
In regards to the intersection of the hospital, what is the RMS's or Transport for New South Wales doing with that intersection? At one stage, they were looking at putting a set of traffic lights, a big roundabout, which would go into the back of Strathmore Estate, where they were going to, I think, purchase a block of land there, a property, and then make it into a four-way intersection with a big roundabout. Have we got any update in regards to that? Because that would certainly alleviate the future of the traffic coming out onto the highway, instead of having we've had that one entry and exit for nearly 30 years.
Mr. Edgecombe?
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. Through you, it has been a long-standing commitment by Transport for New South Wales that they will construct amendments to that intersection, being the intersection of the Great Western Highway and Coldrew Drive. The primary intersection treatment will be, or improvement will be, signalisation, the installation of traffic lights. There is a trigger point where that improvement will commence, and that is on the development and subdivision of the lands on the western side of the highway. I think it's the western side, yes. So it's on the James O'Donnell side. Once further subdivision occurs through there, and the traffic generated or requiring use of Coldrew Drive increases, that's when the trigger will be implemented for the improvements to Coldrew. So this development itself won't trigger that. However, should the vacant lands around James O'Donnell Drive be activated at some point in the future, then signalisation of the Coldrew Drive intersection will occur, along with modifications to the James O'Donnell Drive intersection, which I believe the plans are a left-in, left-out style arrangement to try and push traffic to the priority intersection, which is the Coldrew Drive one.
Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. Thank you, Councillor Tice. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Smith?
I totally agree with the traffic problem, but there's also another associated problem out there that nobody seems to want to talk about, which is the water mitigation problems. Now, I made a visit out there, and even in the last couple of days, that whole area is still a very saturated area, and that retention dam is not holding any water at all. Now, if you listen to the people who have historically been out there some time, the removal of certain dams in that area has created some sort of a make of water, whether it comes from a spring or something. But is that going to be addressed in a fairly severe way? Because the way it's standing at the moment, that land out there is still very saturated. And I'm not bypassing the traffic issue. I think that's another major issue. So this hasn't got just one problem. It has two serious problems.
Mr. Edgecombe, could you respond to that, please?
Of course, Mayor Coleman. It is borne out largely within the report, but there is another integrated approach to this problem provided or agreed to in principle between council and the developer. So two things need to occur. There needs to be improvements to the infrastructure that runs through the Taylor's property from the retention basin, which isn't hooked up yet, which is why it's not holding any water, but improvements to the infrastructure from the outlet of that retention basin through to the northwestern property boundary of the Taylor's property. So that includes the installation of a normal pipe that matches the outlet diameter from the retention basin through to the northwestern property boundary of the Taylor's land, but also a perforated pipe to capture that groundwater from any overflow that's captured by or caused by any overflows from the retention basin, that will also deposit on the northwestern property boundary. And then there will be, which is part of the resolution, an allocation from council which is proposed to amplify the existing half pipe style open air culvert that runs from the northwestern property boundary of the Taylor's land to the highway, and then in a southerly direction to the crossing underneath the highway. So there's work required by the developer to carry stormwater from his development, but there's also work required of council to fix now inadequate stormwater infrastructure that exists now that should have been fixed many, many years ago. So those issues are, I believe, dealt with to the best of council's ability and the developer's ability. He's committed significant outlay on his own right to perform some of the work, but also council is, in my view, responsible for other elements too, which should be addressed through the resolution proposed.
Does that help, Councillor Smith?
This mitigation system goes through a private property. Is that right?
Yes.
So is the people that own this property in favour of this sort of stuff occurring?
Through you, Mayor Coleman, I've continued to keep those residents up to date as I've progressed through this issue. I met with them on site about a month and a half ago for a few hours, and we talked through the proposal in great detail. The land that they own isn't sodden as a sole result of the proposed development. It's a period of prolonged rain, the La Nina events that we've had, and the fact that they reside adjacent to a mountainside. All of that's contributed to their sodden land. But regardless, they're in favour of the proposal to place 2 pipes through their property plus an easement. So to assist both with the drainage of groundwater, but also to make sure that the flows from the retention basin don't flow to the highway by natural land, like it's not going to be an overland flow path, it's piped underneath their property through to the highway.
Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Did you have any more questions? Are you happy with that? Yep. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Marnie?
I wanted to ask a question for clarification, if I could, Matt.
Yes.
With what Mr. Edgecombe said about the agreement. The agreement to actually pipe the water underground, is that in the conditions of this DA?
That's a good question. Mr. Edgecombe?
I would need to probably defer to my colleague, Mr. Elwood, but I don't think so at this point.
Mr. Elwood, can you answer that?
Through yourself, Mayor. At this stage, no, it is not. As a specific DA condition, it would be considered in the agreement with the developer. The DA is for the works that were identified and put forward, and which will include the drainage if it's progressed.
So how do we make sure the works progress?
That's good. Yeah.
Not saying that the developer won't, but what if? How do we ensure that this work progresses? Because regardless of the natural flow in this area, you've got a detention pit which is draining on the private property. I don't care what anyone says, that's not on.
Mr. Elwood?
In discussion with the developer, there would be considerations of putting it in as a condition of development if that was a option to move forward. There are other considerations as well in regards to the contributions that council's putting in, and being a separate arrangement and agreement outside of the DA for the works combined with council and the developer. So if the project was to be run as one whole, instead of being split between the developer and council. So there'd be a range of options we'd need to look into.
So can we get a report on that going back to a future council?
Do you want to move that?
Well, I don't want to condition it at the moment. I'd just like to know either through the infrastructure committee or through open council.
We might take it to infrastructure committee.
Yeah, so we can take it to infrastructure.
Thank you. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Marnie?
I'll probably sit up with a question and then I might speak to it. Councillor Statham talked to an option of an additional meeting. Is that a pathway that is permissible under where we are at this point?
Hang on, I've got...
Okay, I'll ask the question again.
Yeah.
Councillor Statham raised the issue of having an additional meeting because to me there's still a lot of perhaps and maybe these things will happen in this proposition. Is it possible to have another meeting? Or I'm happy to, through the mayor, I'll put it to the general manager to start, and you can place it where it should go.
Yep, Mr. Edgecombe.
As I mentioned before, the local area traffic management plan, a key feature of that is community engagement. So if we go down that path and the council endorses the development of such a strategy, we would definitely hold a community forum where we could talk through what the community's challenges are so that we can try our best to develop mitigating approaches to assist with those.
Does that help, Councillor Marnie?
It helps to an extent, but unfortunately, Mr. Edgecombe, it probably doesn't answer the question I posed. I accept that the traffic plan will be a consultative process, and I accept that. And the question I'm putting is, now that this is being placed in front of us tonight, what options do we have? We either refuse, defer, approve.
Yeah, basically approve, defer, or we,
okay,
what you just said.
Okay. All right. I might speak to it if I can, Mayor.
Yep.
Thank you. There's a few things I note. We as the council are going to receive a number of assets out of the process, 6 new roads and 1 drainage reserve. My understanding is the drainage reserve on the eastern side is already in our possession. It's something that a previous council has approved. I still remain not completely convinced that we've got a concrete pathway forward. Councillor Smith asked a question about whether there is an agreement in place with the adjoining landholder to provide for that pathway. I need to feel convinced that that agreement is in place, that an easement is in place, and the discharge out of that detention system will make its way down to our infrastructure past that property. I also have concerns, and I've expressed these previously, about infiltration of water on the eastern side, where the actual profile of the detention basin sits below ground level of the adjoining houses. So I need to be convinced that, and I respect that the developer has relied on decisions we've made previously as a council to inform their pathway forward. However, if I believe with current understandings that we think there may be a risk, I believe we have got a right to reconsider that. The other thing being that most of the property is slopes greater than 20%. Now, we are in turn going to grey those out and make them into hard surfaces. I'm yet to be convinced that that greyed out surface will absorb water at the same rate it currently does. So there will be pressures on those systems. So I need to feel confident that that agreement on the easement is in place. The agreement for the subsoil water drainage systems is in place, because otherwise my concern is that we end up with residents who are sitting at home, going about their business. They've already had exposure to overland flows. Insurance companies will reassess their position given the infrastructure in front of them, I would suggest. And if those pieces of infrastructure are not concrete, I'd have concerns. The other point that I have is in relation to the cumulative impact of the traffic in the area. Now, I appreciate that the developer can only deal with what's in front of the developers. I don't want to demonise the developer here. I appreciate they're dealing with what's in front of them. We do have a plan, but the plan is only guaranteed to be partially funded. So for me, going to this decision, I would have wanted to see that as a concrete object. Council may have to pick up the whole 20,000. In addition, the points Councillor Tyson has made, I think are really important and valid. That we got that pathway through to Coldrew Drive and that intersection. I'm a bit concerned that the trigger point is waiting somewhere in the distance. Anyone who's used First Avenue as an intersection to go westbound likes to play Russian roulette, because it's an extremely dangerous intersection in that direction, less so in the east, and obviously that cumulative stuff going on at Raval. I'm concerned that the triggers for the modification of those highway intersections are too far in the future. I don't know what the pathway is there. So they're the concerns. The other one is we don't have a stormwater management plan. I know we're working towards that. What I'm seeing at the moment is a pattern that we're going to get dragged around the LGA tracking with developers, and again, that's not their fault. They've brought forward a proposition. We haven't got stormwater that's fit for purpose, and so what we're looking at, we can end up spending $250,000 retrofitting to ensure that the Bible Church and the Australia Post Depot is not subject to overland flows. So they still remain concerns for me that I don't feel have been adequately resolved in the paper as it stands.
Thanks, Councillor Marley. And we just might touch on that. We've had both Councillor Marley and Councillor Ring have raised, and Councillor Statham have raised several concerns in regards to this development application. So we need some answers to that, gentlemen. Who's going to step into that space? So, Mr. Elwood, can you respond in regards to whether or not we put it as conditions in regards to the sewerage or the water problem? Is there an option for on-site? Are we gone too far past that? The councillors need some answers here.
Through yourself, Mayor. We can condition that a connection occurs from the subdivision, being that western or lower detention basin, through the adjoining or the networking properties towards the highway, which being the Taylor property. That condition would then be to connect with the existing council infrastructure, which Director Edgecombe has referred to as needing upgrade to meet current capacity requirements. So that can be conditioned. Obviously, given that it involves private property, that's an issue outside council hands as well for the developer to have that discussion and negotiation, which I understand has occurred and Director Edgecombe has worked through as well. So that will be worked, can be put up, and a draft of that condition will be on your screen shortly.
Right, that's great. In regards to the other issues, is there any?
Regarding the on-site meeting, there's nothing precluding council from resolving to hold another council community meeting. I understand that one might have already happened previously, so I'm not sure what new information can be gleaned that we don't already have, but there's nothing stopping the council from resolving to hold another, and I'd be happy to attend that. And regarding the cost of the local area traffic management plan, that again, we can't force the developer to contribute, but he has shown significant goodwill so far to try and move this development forward, so we can have that negotiation in good faith. But should he refuse, it was suggested that this area needed a local area traffic management plan regardless, and we applied for grant funding to support that, and we're unsuccessful. So it might be that council would need to front the full 20,000, which is why the end of the suggested resolution 6 is included depending on the outcome of negotiations with the developer. Aside from that, I'm not sure what additional clarity we can offer.
That's all right. Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Goodwin.
I have some concerns about the traffic. At every single stage along the way since it's been started, Lithgow Council have insisted on the developer interconnecting those roads at every single stage and every single point from the start of the development, from I think even the start of Strathmore, from the start that whole area has been from the beginning basically, and every single stage we've insisted on the developer connecting those roads. Every single time that's what he has proposed to do, along with council's orders for him to do that. My concern is that if our hands are, even though I think that it's a traffic management problem that we need to sit down and talk about the traffic management there, but I think our hands are tied with saying, with actually saying no to this development, because we've asked that for that to happen at every single point. Now, he's complied with everything that we've asked him to do, and now the 11th hour we're asking him not to comply. That forms a problem with me, is if we don't comply now, then it will go to the Land and Environment Court. We probably won't have a strong case in winning. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I would say that if we've asked him to do something all the way along and he's complied with it, and at the 11th hour we've said no, you don't, and he takes us to the Land and Environment Court, I think our hands are tied. I think what we should be doing is sitting down now and trying to work out an actual traffic management plan that's going to comply, or is going to have some mitigation or a lot of the mitigation from the concerned residents and concerned councillors, so that will mitigate a lot of the trade. It's not going to mitigate all of them, but it'll mitigate some. But I think our hands are tied with saying no, and I think that we've all spoken about this.
Yeah.
So I really, from the decisions of the past to what the decision we have to make now is pretty hard for me to say no.
It's very difficult. Councillor Evangelides, you've already spoken. Councillor
Yeah.
Smith, unless you've got a question.
I agree with Councillor Goodwin. This has gone back like almost 20 years. And when you look at the history of it, this is really on us. He's done everything that was required. With the water mitigation, when we had our information night, I was confident that he will come to the table on that. I've been out there twice, and yeah, the water situation was problematic, but he's addressing that. So obviously that needs to happen. We don't want to agree to something that not happen, but everything else, it's totally on us, as Councillor Goodman said, and Councillor Ring. It's up to us now to make it work. It's not the developer; it's us now. Like I said, going back almost 20 years. So as much as no one wants a lot of traffic on roads that can't handle it, but we've got to deal with it.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Okay, everybody's spoken. Councillor Smith, you can ask a question.
Can council advocate to state transport to try and sort of really seriously bring that forward? Like as Jonathan said earlier, the trigger mechanism will only come about when the other estate goes on the other side of the hospital. Surely that's already happened. That traffic, every one of those intersections are definitely dangerous. There's going to be an accident on one of them.
Yeah. I know that Mr. Elwood wanted to say something, and I'll let him do that first, and then I'll come to Mr. Edgecombe. So, Sean, I'm sorry, Mr. Elwood.
Through yourself, Mayor, just a piece of further information which may assist. As was discussed earlier with the traffic management plans, the obligations of the developer and what they're required to assess have also been met in their drainage and water management assessments for the site as well. So that includes how drainage is managed and overland flows, stormwater is taken and dispersed off site. So the initial and submitted report for that, which is with the DA documents, does outline that on the basis of calculations, topography management and assessment, that stormwater and water management from the site is mitigated appropriately from the proposal that's put forward. So just identifying that before any additional conditions of consent are put forward in the resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Edgecombe.
Through you, Mayor Coleman. We can certainly advocate. We've been doing so for quite a number of years now, and I can take it on notice because I can't provide it now, but the trigger point definitely hasn't been met yet, but I can get some further detail as to what that trigger point actually is. But it definitely relates to traffic generating development on the western side of the highway, not the eastern. But I just want to make the point as well that the signalisation of that intersection doesn't add an additional point of connectivity from the eastern side of the highway through into Littleton. It doesn't add a fourth connector. So all it does is signalise the intersection of Coldrew Drive and the Great Western Highway. It doesn't add another fourth connecting road from the eastern side of the highway, from the Littleton side through to the highway.
Councillor Ring, I'll come to you. Your right
reply. Thank you.
I've got a question.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Tyson. Yeah.
I've got a follow-up question, what I asked before in regards to transport for New South Wales. You've just relayed the point that it's only a T intersection at this stage with lights. I understand there is a property there, not for sale, and I've got no intention of asking anyone to buy it to create a road, but there is a very straight property opposite that intersection up into Claret Ash, from memory, where if that property ever became available for sale, it would be an opportune time for Transport for New South Wales to purchase it for a four-way intersection to alleviate the fears of using that other one. So whether the council can, the question is whether council can talk to Transport for New South Wales in their discussions on upgrading the intersection to look at the possible future purchase of the, even when it becomes available, because this development will be some time getting going. But even if it got going, at some stage, 20, 25 years or 15 years, whenever that becomes available, it may be that we can, Transport for New South Wales can purchase it to alleviate the future of all that going.
Yep. That can go on our advocacy shopping list.
Just a point that the purchase of that would be to alleviate challenges associated with traffic on council's own network. So it wouldn't be Transport for New South Wales looking to buy it. It would need to be a council acquisition.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Councillor Ring, would you like your right of reply?
Yes, thank you. Earlier in this term, I made a statement that we own all the problems of the past, and this is a classic example of it. Poor decisions made in the past come back to us. There have been poor planning decisions. We've been talking about some of those in the planning working party. We need to, not just with this one, but we need to be broadly looking at the connectivity through Lithgow, the subdivisions that have already been planned. There are problems with them. But from my understanding on the last time this was brought to council, this is a compliant development. It ticks all the boxes, which is why last time I moved to defer to get greater clarification on two issues. I don't believe we can do any more. I believe this has to go ahead. We have to manage it, and then we find the funds to get the transport management study done. We just do it. No ifs, no buts, no excuses. Something else has got to be cut, we cut it. We just get it done. The residents at least deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, and we will need a division. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Tysus, Councillor Coleman. All those against? Councillor Statham, Councillor Smith and Councillor Marnie. The matter has been carried. Thank you. Another division? I've been asked to do another division. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Tysus and Councillor Coleman. All those against? Councillor Statham, Councillor Smith and Councillor Marnie. Thank you. We move on to the next item, which is 2.3, determination of modification application, Great Western Highway, Barangaroo. We have a recommendation here, councillors, or is there any other motions?
I'll move the motion.
You're
The
moving,
recommendation.
You're moving the recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Ring. Any seconder for that? No? Who would like to second this? 2.3, councillors. I'll second that, so it doesn't lapse. So 2.3, Councillor Ring.
I do concur with the recommendation from the staff on this matter. This subdivision was originally conditionally approved on 2nd of March 2015. In the proponent's report, his reasons for wanting a modification on page 2 of 11 of the modification assessment, it's stated that construction and completion of the bridge works is subject to rail track access time, which is unpredictable and may take up to 12 months to complete the bridge works. 10 years to build the bridge. I'm sorry, it's not an excuse, it's not acceptable. There is no risk to council in granting the modification, so there is considerable risk to council in granting this modification. If there is an accident or death because of movements over this bridge, which is a single lane, council will be held culpable. This developer has over 10 years to comply. And I know that prior to the end of the financial year, a letter was sent out to residents stating that works would start at the end of June and that council was supporting it. It upset a lot of residents and it was found it had nothing to do with council. I'm sorry, I can't support it. I agree with the council's recommendation. We knock it back. They've got to build the bridge before any work starts out there. It's that simple.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. What really concerns me about this, and on the bottom of page 23, it's very clear. it says that the single lane bridge which provides entry to Gurween Drive does not have the capacity for an increase of 65 residential lots. The single lane bridge also does not have capacity to accommodate construction vehicles entering, exiting Gurween Drive and Bundara Close to undertake subdivision works. It's really quite clear. We cannot support a development that cannot provide access safely to an area at Marangaroo. That's why I believe that we should support the administration's recommendation. Any further commentary, Councillor Statham?
Yes, Mayor Coleman. I was on council in 2012 and this happened or occurred just after that, and Mr. Becker came into the office on many occasions, and to his credit, he never let down a meeting and did the best he could. And again, I don't want to vote against another, a recommendation that council has determined is not suitable, because they do know right from wrong. However, I think out there it's going to be a very tricky thing to ever come to fruition. You've got that little bridge across to get into the Marangaroo Fields subdivision, and then you go off to the left just for people in the gallery. I've thought about it just here tonight, and it's taken over 10 years to get to where we are today, and we still don't have an answer, yes or no. I think there was an amendment, if I'm correct, as well. I just think, what can we do to make this subdivision happen? Number one, if two bridges, they're going to close down the railway line. It's a massive undertaking. I just don't know how we can try and capsulate that, a massive amount of homes, 65. I think that really we have to try and help Mr. Becker and his associates, but I don't know how we can do that when that bridge is the main stopping point. And there's no doubt about the bridge is been hard work, but for 10 years we should have either have worked out how we're going to do it, or is it absolutely out of all control?
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Any further debate? Councillor Marnie?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I concur with the staff's report, and I probably share Councillor Statham's views that we do want to see development. Again, we find ourselves with some interplay with the highway and the transport corridor, which are limiting factors here. This is something we've talked about as a council group, as far as the highway between the jail and Tunnel Hill intersection and through to basically McCain's Falls. These are going to be issues for us, whether there needs to be a roundabout at that point to allow for entry and exit into Marangaroo, but also the staff note in the third point about the use of level crossings. Now, I think most state governments want to see the number of level crossings that are out there reduced. They also certainly don't want them in new constructions like the inland rail system. My understanding of a statistic is that in New South Wales over a 20-year period there were in excess of 150 accidents at these styles of level crossing, and inside that 40 with 16 deaths. So as an option, it isn't an option. And how we get into the Marangaroo is via the second bridge. So I don't see a pathway forward with the current proposition.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Any further commentary, debate on this? Councillor Goodwin?
Yes, mine was more of a question, and I was just thinking of something else while Councillor Marty was talking. But from my understanding, approval from the State Rail has lapsed as well, and they're not going to extend the licence. Is that?
Can we get an answer for that?
Yeah, can I get an answer on that? And if now, does he have to then reapply for the whole thing again, or the whole licence to get across, or that just not letting him?
Mr. Edgecombe?
I believe that has occurred, based on my last understanding of the issue at hand. However, if the council wants a conclusive update on that particular issue, I'd need to reach out to UGL with a rail operator and get a more contemporary understanding of the current situation.
And my other question was, that maybe there might be a Oaky Forest Road, an option to go up Oaky Forest Road and then the back way to that subdevelopment, rather than crossing the level crossing. I know we did.
Possibly, but I don't think that's been proposed to council.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Good idea, though. Maybe they could use it. Anyway, here we are. Any further commentary or debate?
I've got a question there.
Yes, Councillor Tyson.
Just to Mr. Edgecombe, if this bridge was to be put on and done, what are the road improvements to the highway coming out? Because if he builds a bridge and he puts 65 extra homes in there and all the vehicles that go with it, what is the expectation at the top of the hill, as blind as it is, in regards to coming out on the highway? Is that traffic lights roundabout or what?
Mr. Edgecombe?
Through you, Mayor Coleman, there are no proposed impacts to traffic flow. It's part of the reason why we're looking to develop a bit of a precinct-based approach to traffic flow improvements around that precinct, because we do acknowledge that all of the intersections through Marangaroo have challenges around sight distance, short stacking at Oaky Forest Road, and capacity issues at Reserve Road. But associated with this development, there weren't any flow changes, no signalisation, no speed reductions, nothing of the sort.
Thank you. Any further debate? No? Councillor Ring, right reply?
No, just put it, please.
Okay. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Do we need a division? Yes, we do. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Statham, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Evangelidis, Councillor Ring, Councillor Smith, Councillor Marnie, Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Tarsos, and Councillor Coleman. The matter's been carried. Thank you. .4.
Move the recommendation.
81 Martini Parade Lithgow. It's moved by Councillor Tysos. Do I have a second of Councillor Fredericks? Yep. Councillor Tysos.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got no problems with this development. This is nothing more than what's been going on around that area for some time. There's another sort of flats on the laneway, a lot of old blocks in that area. From memory, I think this the couple moved away, and it's 4 blocks of land, and this is a perfect sort of thing that would go on that sort of block. You certainly wouldn't be putting a couple of homes on it because of the thing, but it's got laneway access straight onto the main street, onto the main road there at the front. Nothing different to what I expect a lot of this area to encompass when a lot of the older homes get sold in due course, because of the homes are on bigger blocks of land down in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tysos. Councillor Fredericks.
Well, it's basic, simple. They've met all the requirements. It's 4 3-bedroom units. There's some extra housing for the area. Let's just get it done.
Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Evangelidis, you're speaking in opposition?
Yeah, I'll speak in opposition. The neighbouring properties contacted me and had a long list of grievances regarding the development. Some were concerns that were simply not under the developer's scope, like sewage and stormwater. Others were related to privacy, bins, the size of the development. This is actually the first time a 2-storey development residential has occurred on this street. Now, this is a very wide, large block. It's ripe for development. 4 units can easily be placed there with no need. And we do need developments like this because the community need a choice of housing options. And not everyone wants to maintain a yard nor has the money for a house. So I more than welcome this particular development. Developers and planners always build the maximum they can. They want to make as much profit as possible, and I totally understand and get that. In my recent development approval, the designers built my place right to the fence line. When I saw this, I thought, gee, that's pretty close. Let's move it back a few meters. I don't want to encroach on my neighbours. Now, mine's just a single story. This is a 2-story one. But I just wanted to be respectful by having that extra distance. It felt right. And as a result, I didn't receive one complaint from the neighbours regarding my build. Now, one of the units will dramatically affect the sun entering the neighbour's north-facing living room. This is an elderly chap that's been there for years. I figure there should be some sort of compromise from the developer. I suggest just losing 2 meters off that one unit. It's like this much. Yeah, 2 meters off the one unit. He'll get a touch more sun, not quite what he had, but he would be getting more than if the development is allowed to go through as it is. Now, that 2 meters won't affect the sale, won't affect the rental, won't affect the livability of a space. This isn't a 3 meter wide Paddington Terrace. This will still be a beautifully wide residence. What it is, it's being respectful. This is what respectful looks like, and it's what being fair looks like. I don't want to slow down any development. I know the feeling of being held up, but it's our job to act on concerns of the community. The developer failed to address and engage with the neighbours, so they had to consequently reach out to councillors. They reached out to councillors Coleman and myself. This was the first time I'd even learned about the development. We as councillors have to navigate and bridge the gap between developments and the community. Each one is unique and has different considerations. There should be no blanket approach. We need to send a message to developers to be fair and respectful, and we have to send a message to the community that if they want this town to grow, they have to accept change. Now, I don't want to have our council increase the distance, allowing wider areas from neighbours, because in the majority of cases, this may affect every future development. We just need to look at each case and do what's fair. What I would like to do is to have the developer do a redesign, lose 2 meters off just one of the units, and that way the sky doesn't lose his light. And I don't feel it needs to come before council again, but it's just a compromise. And this, like I said, this is the first 2-story development on that whole street, residential. It's a long street, and there's going to be many, many more. So this is our time to say to developers, yeah, it's great that you're building it, but let's just not affect the neighbours too much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evangelides. Councillor Ring, and then
I'm going to speak in favour of it. This is a conforming development application. It's a good design. The setbacks from the neighbouring properties conforms with council's development control plan. I think it might even slightly exceed it. I think the setback are roughly on memory about 3 metres from the fences. There are no windows overlooking the neighbouring properties. It is a very well thought out plan. It's not our place to tell them how to develop it. With respect to the loss of shade is specified in the National Construction Codes, and it relates to, I believe, on the winter solstice, on the shortest day of the year. So the actual impact on the neighbour is very minimal for a couple of hours during the day. Unfortunately, it being within the acceptable ranges means it gets approved. So, look, I think this is something that fills a missing component in our rental market or our housing market. Smaller accommodation for young families or young professionals or even couples that we don't have. 90 square metres approximately per residence. I think this is a great outcome for the community, and it won't be the last, as Councillor Tice said, it won't be the last in this area. We've got building blocks, or got blocks that are 1,200 plus square metres. They can be subdivided down to 400 square metres. And that's what we need. We need to build the density of our community rather than an ongoing sprawl out into rural areas. We've got to build up the density. So I fully support it.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Smith?
I don't want to be seen knocking back subdivisions either. I think it's pretty important that we actually build up our housing situation in the town. But I think there's something that's been totally forgotten here. When we went out to do that site inspection, there was a hell of a lot of information put in about the water problem there with stormwater. Now, I haven't heard this off anybody here tonight, but that problem had in one of the neighbours' back sheds something like half a metre of water going through their back shed. And the water ends up in the back lane, and the woman opposite in Rifle Parade across the lane said that all that water's going to end up in her yard, which it has. It ends up going down the laneway, and it's flooded the garage and the house down further. So there's a major stormwater problem in that area. And if anybody wants to go and do the site visit, you'll see that it actually sits in like a gully. And the water sits out in Martini Parade, and it's got no way of moving across. Now, I don't know whether that's been taken into consideration. Can I ask a question? Has that been...
You've raised some great points, Councillor Smith. Mr Edgecombe?
I have spoken with the residents on site. I did attend the site visit, albeit a little bit late. And the way we deal with long-standing stormwater issues in Lithgow is you start downstream at the outlet to Farmers Creek, because, you know, if you make efficiencies to stormwater infrastructure upstream, you are just going to inevitably flood those people downstream. So you start downstream and work your way up. It's been a long-term, the stormwater drainage, the flow path for that stormwater eventually ends at the intersection of Enfield Avenue and Main Street, which is something that the Mayor and the owners of the Still Shop and a few other residents we've been discussing for quite some time. We're in the process of designing some improvements to that area so that when the stormwater does get to Main Street and the junction underneath James Street and then into Farmers Creek, that it's got somewhere to go. We don't end up exacerbating the problems at the Still Shop. So I gave that information to the residents. And as the project to improve flooding at the intersection of Enfield and Main matures, I'll keep them up to date with progress.
Thank you, Mr Edgecombe. Councillor Smith?
Just one other question too. The units 3 and 4 at the back, are they located over sewer lines? What's the policy with building over sewer lines?
Mr Edgecombe or Mr Trapp?
Through you, Mayor. Any building that is proposed to go over a sewer line comes to council. We don't typically approve any of those. If there's, for some reason, needs to be built in that area, we look to try and have the asset diverted or moved, so the assets aren't going to be impacted. So if there is a sewer line and eventually will be built over, we try to work our way with the developer to have it removed and replaced elsewhere outside of the building envelope. But all that's got to go through a process of approval, and we try to avoid it wherever we can so that the assets remain intact and unaffected.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Thank you, Mr Trapp. Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, just a question to Director Edgecombe through you, Mayor, if it's okay.
Yes.
What we're deciding on here tonight is the development application of that area. The stormwater issues outside that area are council's issues, not the DA issues. So, is that correct?
Through you, Mayor Coleman, that's absolutely correct. The extension estate area is very well established. It's been there for 100 years plus. Unfortunately, the lay of the land and the way stormwater flows through that whole area, many residents suffer stormwater impacts, and all of the stormwater infrastructure, given the age of the development, is above ground. It's all curb level. So when people flood, the stormwater dissipates quickly, but it's quite a significant impact. So at some point, the council might need to consider what subsurface infrastructure they might want to install in that precinct. But as I said, we need to start downstream so that we're not just creating an efficient means for stormwater to flood all the people downstream. We need to make sure that it's got somewhere to go.
So I'm happy that it's a complying development, and I think if we were going to look at any flood mitigation from outside that development, that we maybe have a talk with local residents who have been there a long time, because there are some points in the road that are higher than others that they can point you out to that may help.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Any further debate? Councillor Marnie?
Okay, I'm just going to quickly try and bring my thoughts together. I concur with what Councillor Goodwin said. Very much that last comment summed it up. It's a system that's not fit for purpose that is going to act as a constraint to necessary development. We also don't have a housing strategy, but it's on its way. The housing strategy will deal with the urban infill and how do we transition from where we are with these large blocks in those, because it's a dense employment zone, it's also close to schools. There's lots of opportunities within the urban area. The problem is the interplay between these missing plans leaves us with a somewhat ad hoc approach where we've got to deal with everything on a case-by-case basis. But the developer shouldn't be penalised because we haven't arrived. I had issues with how the stormwater connected from the development into the parts of private lands into the street in a previous one we discussed tonight. It's going to be a case of we're going to have to follow some of the developments and start infilling infrastructure as that activity starts happening. So what Councillor Ring spoke to and Councillor Tyson also spoke to, there will be a growth of this infilling in the urban centre. Some of the older neighbourhoods with heritage buildings are going to be less likely to be infilled, but some of these blocks where they're sat in very big suburban yards, that they'll offer these. I think it might have even been Councillor Evangelis, but it might have been Councillor Ring, sorry. We need to give different typology. We need to give houses in different pricing range. We can't have a cookie cutter subdivision that goes further and further away from the urban centre and say you need to buy 2 cars with your house so you can get back into town. So these offer people an opportunity to be in amongst the centre of Lithgow. So I will support this, recognising that there are some genuine issues by residents, and they're things that we've got to challenge ourselves as a council, how we use that stormwater fund, whether we've got enough money in that stormwater fund to track with the changing needs. And I do concur with what Mr. Edgecombe said. The downstream impacts are significant. We've got to make sure we don't sterilise economic zones. That combination of sewer and stormwater, the impacts on the still dealership, they can only do that a couple of times and then the game's over. So we've got to be pretty smart about how we manage the stormwater in that Western Main Street. So I'll leave it at that. I think the councillors as a group have covered all the key
Councillor
points.
Marnie. Councillor Tyson, right, reply?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I didn't really hear anything that of great concern in regards to that would prevent this going ahead tonight, and I welcome the support from the councillors as well. But I mean, we're talking about 2 metres. I can plant a 3-metre tree and provide a whole lot of leaves if I wanted to take away the sunshine of the neighbour's property, and I don't have to build anything. So I think that could have been done over the many years, but I don't think that's going to stop these sort of developments. I think this is a great thing for that particular block. I mean, I'm quite happy that the developers have seen fit to take the initiative to grab those sort of blocks and provide brand new accommodation in the community and in the street. I can certainly see where there'd be no detraction from the land values or the property values in that street because of this development. So I move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare it carried. We need a division. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Statham, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Ring, Councillor Marnie, Councillor Fredericks and Councillor Tyson and Councillor Coleman in favour. Those against? Councillor Evangelidis and Councillor Smith. The matter's been carried. Thank you. We move right down to 2.8, which is line marking service tender. I understand, Councillor Marnie, you wanted to do something here?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move it and speak to it very briefly.
So you're moving the recommendation on the...
Yep, so I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Hang on, Councillor Marnie. Can I have a Councillor Goodwin? Okay, thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Marnie?
We have discussed the role that line marking makes in initial safety measures because we do have roads that are that the line marking's failing. So I'm very pleased that we got a new contract in place and a number of providers. I'm conscious that this matter is really dealing with the tender, so I'm not going to push the envelope too far. But rather than make another recommendation, can we have a report come to the Infrastructure Committee just to discuss the use of line marking as an interim measure to provide safety on some roads? Because there's a number of things that are in my inbox which relate to failing line marking, particularly on dangerous corners and things like that. If the councillors can bring forward some of those things through the Infrastructure Committee for consideration.
Mr. Edgecombe, you happy with that? Yep, that's fine, Councillor Mann.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor,
Mr. Edgecombe.
Councillor Goodwin, do you have anything
No,
to add?
no.
No. Any further debate?
Question,
Councillor
Mayor.
Tysus, yes.
Just to clarify, this contract is going to be like the fuel one, which is a central thing anyway, and it's just to set fees for the types of works that we wish to have happen, and that if Councillor Marnie's looking for those sort of things, those sort of requests go on the list, and then the council, through their budget, gets the work done anyway. So that doesn't need to go through this. In regard, this is just setting some sort of fee structure for the program, and anything that needs doing. If you wanted a line painted, you just approach the staff, and the staff put in the list to get done. So and it comes up when what would they come here once a month?
Mr.
Once every
Edgecombe,
2 months?
Could you respond, please?
Line marking depends on surface temperatures. As you'd expect in Lithgow, surface temperatures are hard to achieve 3 to 6 months of the year, possibly longer some years. But yes, generally we run line marking 2 or 3, possibly even 4 times a year. So during the warmer months, yeah, monthly or at least bi-monthly.
Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Statham?
Just if there is a list that requests go on to, I'd like to see the road between the Portland Cemetery and into Portland. It's a new road, relative, probably 3 years old, and it's very wide, and I do suggest in some parts it's desperate for line marking.
Thank you. We'll refer that to the Infrastructure Committee if you like. Councillor Statham. If there's no further debate on this matter, I'll put that to Councillor Marnie, right of reply, sorry.
Look, I accept what Councillor Tysus has said. I suppose I'd like to see some sort of structured process. We can all ring you up every second day, Mr. Edgecombe, or we can possibly, as Councillor Statham's identified some, if there's an opportunity maybe for a report through the Infrastructure Committee to bring those things together and just track how we're going on that program. But I'm happy to be guided on what's the most efficient and effective use of staff time on that matter.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. 2.10, Roadworks Package 1. Sorry, 2.9. Sorry, I missed one. Go back. Walgan Road, Walgan Valley Road Repair Works. Any motions, councillors? Councillor Marnie, you happy to move?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Councillor Marnie? Can't hear you, Councillor Marnie, sorry.
My apologies. I won't talk too much to it other than to note it's pleasing to see on a couple of these roadworks that there's quite significant, highly ranked local content in the roads package, which in plain English means that we're getting local contractors to repair our local roads, which is a terrific outcome. I understand this will deal with the lower section of the Walgan Valley. And if I could ask a question, just for clarification to people in the gallery as well as people who might be watching, can you please, Mr. Edgecombe, through you, Mayor, just outline the segments of road that are being dealt with in this, please?
Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe.
So from the section of Walgan Road directly at the base of the Walgan Valley, so after you pass through the Walgan Gap, into the floor of the Walgan Valley. It starts from there and it basically extends to the end of the bitumen seal just past the Emirates entrance.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie.
Thank you. I just wanted to get
Yep.
that clarification in regard to the major road build. This is a separate entity which is doing the valley floor.
Completely separate. I wish we could get the gap done for 400k, but yeah.
Yes, I appreciate it. Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Statham.
I think we've all been on this journey for a very long time. It's been a very distressing journey for the council staff, headed up by Mr. Edgecombe, and also the people that have lived in this valley. It's a wonderful place for those people to live. They've chosen that as their home, and it seems to have been one of the most difficult decisions for council senior staff and for the people to even stay down there. I believe there's some people now left the valley, but I think we've been very fortunate over the last couple of years that nobody has suffered a heart attack or passed away. But I think as people get older, they're wanting to see this road done as soon as possible with the best deal that is possible for council to get. And I also concur with Councillor Marnie that it is great when we see local contractors getting work in our area.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Any further debate on this matter? Okay. I'll put that to you if you're all right with that, Councillor Marnie. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. 2.10, roads work package 1. Do I have any motions, councillors? Anybody want to move on the, yep, Councillor Marnie. Move as seconder. Councillor Goodwin. Thank you, Councillor Marnie.
Again, briefly, another really good outcome, and again, really good to see. We've had the Gracie's company doing the first round, and we've got the Dukes Earth moving, another local company doing this next round. So it's great to see us activating some of our capacity within those industries in our own area. So it's great to see local businesses bringing forward those local solutions to local roads. So, no, well done.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Goodwin.
Yeah, no, it's a good motion for the people down at Hartley and Hampton. Yep, I'm happy with it.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Any further debate on this matter? Okay, no, I'll put it to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. 2.11, proposed Crown Road transfers. We have a recommendation, councillors. What would we like to do? What are we doing in this space, councillors? Okay, so would you like to move it, Councillor Evangelides? Excellent, thank you. If you would like to move it, can someone second this for me? I'm happy. Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Evangelides? Would you like to speak?
I agree with the management.
Great, thank you. Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, nothing more needs to be said.
All right, so is there any further debate on this matter? Councillor Tyson?
I've got a question. Could I just get some distance markers for how long these lanes and roads are?
Mr. Edgecombe?
Could I ask
I would
Cupid's
need to
Lane
take
how
it-
long that is?
I would need to take it on notice, but Cupid's Lane is a few kilometres. Doctors Gap Road is about a kilometre and a bit, but I'll take that on notice. And to be honest, I thought I'd put that in the report, but I must not have. So I apologise for that. I'll take it on notice and I'll get that advice to you tomorrow.
Is that all right, Councillor Tyson?
Yes, it's all right. But the reason I'm asking is that I wanted to sort of, as part of the recommendation, see whether, particularly in regards to Cupid's Lane and the Southern Crown Road to Honeysuckle Falls Road, have we got any idea what the honeysuckle might be? If that the others are 1 or 2?
Mr. Edgecombe, do you know, or
Is
you
that-
still have to take it on notice?
I'd need to take it on notice for the exact lengths. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Is it 5, 10, or is it longer? Or
No, it's around a K&a-half or so, I believe.
what the honeysuckle is?
I think so.
All right.
But I'd need to. We're not talking huge lengths of road, but they're still significant when it comes down to council maintenance and depreciation and all that.
The reason I ask that question is because I'm looking at, as part of the recommendation, to see what the cost would be to get some sort of quotes for the whole three of them in regards to, they're all gravel roads, I'm assuming.
Yes, are they all gravel roads?
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm assuming they're all gravel roads where, for example, someone that's at Meadow Flat, Dark Corner or out that way that has a grader would be giving us some quotes in regards to what it would take for them. I mean, we're not moving machinery out there. The machinery's more than likely out there.
Councillor Tyson, so you're looking at a 0.4?
Yes, I am.
So what
I
would you,
haven't framed it at this stage.
okay,
I'm
hang on. What's, yeah, yeah, so,
the reason I'm looking at it is that if that's all it is, it may be that if we can get some quotes in regards to the whole three of them, one, I mean, the doctor's got one, this grader up the depot if that's the case, or there are private graders that can do the job, in which case, depending on the amount of money that's asked for, it may be that we may be in a position not to seek the transfer of the road, but to have a one-off grade in regards to providing that access quickly, and particularly in regards to the Honeysuckle Falls. That needs to be fixed, even though it's not ours, I know that, but it can be fixed very simply if there's something out that way where we don't have to transport anything out there. I'm sure there's some graders and earth movers out that live out that way that can provide quotes in regards to doing a job for it.
can we do this through administration for the infrastructure committee, Mr. Edgecombe, or? Yeah, yeah,
Move at 0.4. The number 4 will be without prejudice that council look at obtaining quotes from suitable earth moving companies in the nearby area to provide the works, a grading of the road.
Councillor Evangelides, hang on, Councillor Evangelides has walked out and he moved the motion, I believe, it's not up on the screen. Yeah, Councillor Goodwin is the seconder, would you be okay with quotes as a 0.4?
Yeah, well, I would like to know if it's legal first.
Yeah, okay.
If they comply with the legalities of tendering, like they obviously have to have insurance and they'd have to have an ABN. They obviously would if they've got big doses, but that's what I would follow, like with the procurement policy as well. So
Absolutely. So can we get some commentary on that?
Excuse me, Mayor Coleman, I'd like to leave the room for a moment because I have a brother at Meadow Flat with civil equipment.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I declare conflict of
Yeah,
interest.
Can we get some commentary on that?
Through you, Mayor. We do, of course, have a local procurement policy that gives price concessions for local contractors. So we would need to follow that. It would be not within our procurement policy and procedure to only invite tenders from. We'd have to put it out more broadly. And the other difficulty is it's not something that's in our program at the moment. It may be possible, and I'll defer to Mr. Edgecombe, for council staff to provide a cost estimate on those, but I'd just suggest this would be appropriate for the infrastructure committee.
Mr. Edgecombe?
I just want to make 3 points, and the last one is perhaps the most important to me, and I think the council. The first, Ross is correct. The requirements of any contractor to work on a public road are significant in terms of insurance and public liability, but also the standards by which we build roads. Once council conducts work, we have an obligation to make sure that it's to a certain standard so that we're not creating additional risks for the community. But I get the point that it's without prejudice and an in-principle style arrangement, just to sort of test the market and see what such work might cost. But the second point I'd make is that the Department of Crown Lands or Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure have used the logic of councils maintaining of public roads previously to force their transfer onto council. So I get the intent, but it's likely that by grading these roads, even if it is just a one-off for the residents, would likely be used as evidence to transfer that road to us in the future. So I just want to make sure that the council's aware of that. But third, This council has a $20 million backlog of road renewal and repair that's required in its LGA. Every dollar of work that we do that's not already in our strategy for renewal takes a dollar of work from somewhere else in the LGA that desperately needs doing. Our roads aren't in a fit state at the moment, and we need to be finding every source of revenue we can to repair those roads. So I would hesitate. I would ask the council to exhibit caution when taking on additional responsibilities when we're struggling to meet those that we already have.
Councillor Tysus, would you like to move an amendment? The seconder hasn't accepted it anyway.
He's for it or he's not?
He's not. No, Councillor Goodwin said no. And Councillor Evangelides wasn't in the room, but the seconder
All
said
right.
no
Could
anyway.
well, he needs to find out what it is first, Councillor Evangelides.
Evangelides. So
The other thing is, I only wish to now pursue the matter in regards to Honeysuckle Falls Road. So I'm only looking for one. Okay, the other, I'm not sure that the Doctor's Gap needs to be done. In fact, I don't think so. I don't think it's a bus route. I think the bus uses it a different way. And the Cupid's Lane, I'm not aware of, and I'm not aware of any complaints in regards to it. But I think that there needs to be some resolution to Honeysuckle Falls Road. And somewhere between us and the Crown Lands, we need to sort it out. So I'm happy with a 0.4 if without prejudice.
What I was thinking is maybe a 0.4 to be discussed to this particular item to be discussed at the infrastructure committee.
yeah, what you're
rather
referring
than,
to.
rather than being a resolution now, be discussed and brought back to the council after it's been discussed and information.
Are you happy with that? Okay.
I was just going to suggest that 0.2 probably needs to be amended to focus on Honeysuckle Road with the advocacy. We didn't create the problem.
No,
Crown Lands did. So Crown Lands should resolve the problem, not us. So if the mover and seconder are happy, I mean, I think we should really modify that slightly just to place emphasis on that advocacy on Honeysuckle Road.
yeah, I agree. Councillor Evangelides, are you happy with that? Councillor Goodwin, are you happy with that? Can we modify the recommendation, please? Yep. Minute taker's good with that? Yep, done. Right. All right. Any further debate? Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry, Councillor Goodwin.
Sorry, 0.4 needs to go in as well.
0.4, which is we refer the matter to the infrastructure
The
committee.
Honeysuckle Falls Road issue to the
Infrastructure committee. Can we add that, please? Have we got that? Okay, so the last bit was that we forward the Honeysuckle Road issue in regards to funding to the infrastructure committee. Yeah. Is that okay, Councillor Tyson, or did you want to wordsmith that a little bit?
I'm happy with that, but the intent is that somewhere along the line, someone can resolve the issue between the state government, the local government, and Crown Lands.
Absolutely. We need to advocate really hard on this space.
We're not talking big bucks. We're just talking about an issue that needs to be resolved before something happens, and something will happen if nothing is done.
Absolutely. Is that up on the screen? Not yet? Okay, we'll just wait. Councillor Evangelides, you're happy with that as well?
Yes.
Very good. Any further debate while the minute taker's doing what she needs to do? No? Right, a reply, Councillor Evangelides? All right, no, you're happy? Right. Are we good? Yep. All right. If there's no right to reply, I'll put that. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. Right. 2.12 Review of Policy 10.15, a new draft policy ENM and VENM. Councillor Marnie, you expressed an interest in this report. Would you like to move this or something else?
No, I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder then, please? Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie?
I'll speak briefly to it. Just given, and we spoke to some of these risks in the infrastructure committee. A lot of our early infrastructure has asbestos-containing materials in it. When we do works in these settings, it's important that we have the highest standards of materials that are used. And this terminology, excavated natural materials and virgin excavated natural materials, are certified materials that are free from those contaminants. So it's important when we put these into public spaces that that's taken into account. The consequences are significant from a health, financial and reputational risks for the council and also for the community as far as health risks. So I just want to acknowledge the staff that have taken the time to get these policies and practices put into place and firmly understood by your staff and contractors. So I just want to acknowledge the work that's gone on in there. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Rick?
Very briefly, no.
Is there any further debate on this matter? No, I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Thank you. We come down to 3.4, which is the Audit Risk Improvement Committee. ARIC minutes.
Supplementary report.
Oh, yes,
1.1.
thank you, Councillor Ring.
I'm happy to move that.
Yep, that's great. That was 213,
Yep.
I believe. Yep, sorry, I've got that here. Yep. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Marnie, Councillor Ring?
Yep, just trying to find the right page, sorry.
Yeah. 2.13. I'll just read the report. It's professional services tender. It's moved by Councillor Ring, second by Councillor Marnie.
Yeah, no, I've got it, thank you. Look, I really don't have a lot to say. This has been discussed in information sessions and infrastructure committees. This project will lead to capacity building of our staff. It will lead to better product as an end result. And I believe that both the community, the staff, and our assets will benefit. So I think it's a good report and a good outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie?
Again, I'll thank the staff for their work on this. Asset planning and management is critical. We all do it at home, and whether we own a car or whether we own a house or whatever object we own, we need to know the maintenance schedule for it. We need to know the value. We need to know the things we need to do. The fact that we've completed the roads, and that has brought forward a story that is important that we understand, but it's also quite alarming as well, where we look at the end of page 3 and we talk about a network that's in poor or very poor condition with an estimated renewal backlog of 88 million. I would rather see that in front of me than not be able to see it, because the consequence of not seeing it is it jumps us when we least expect it, and then we've got to find very large amounts of money to start doing things. So this will build capacity with our staff, and I think that's a really important thing. We want to build capacity, not dependency. So where those opportunities are there, and I commend the staff for taking this forward.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Any further debate on this matter? Right reply, or you just great. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Now we go down to 3.4, which is the Audit Risk Improvement Committee minutes and annual report. ASIC, Councillor Ring, you're on that committee. Would you like to move these? You happy to move that?
Yes, sorry, I'm happy to move that.
Councillor Ring, happy to move. Can I have a second? Councillor Goodwin's happy to second. Councillor Ring?
Just wanted to say that for members of the public or councillors who want a better understanding of the role of the ARIC and the work performed, I would strongly recommend reading the 2024-25 annual report prepared by the chair. It gives a good overview of the work that's done. The meetings, when they're held, they're 3 hours plus. There's a hell of a lot to read. They make council meetings look like a walk in the park at times, because it's all finance, it's all governance, it's all risk. But it is a very important committee. Council is one of the most heavily regulated organisations in the political structure. There's a lot of oversight, and they do pick up on a lot of stuff. Not saying there's much to pick up on, but they do dig deep and they go hard. They're not there to be friends. They have a job and they do it quite well and professionally. And for the benefit of councillors and the community, internal auditors and their work plan or draft work plan was approved at the meeting on the 9th of September. And during the current financial year, that internal audit will undertake a review of council's end-to-end project management systems and processes during this current financial year. And the plan will be looking at 3 projects, one of which is the Main Street footpath project. And though there are a lot of people interested in that project, but it's within the framework of overall project management and processes to ensure that moving forward we've got the best possible systems in place, which I think we're working quite well with the committees, with the working parties, but this will help to reinforce what's been done. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, Mayor Coleman, just to reiterate what Councillor Ring has said, I've been on that committee previously and I understand the responsibilities and I agree with his comments.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Any further debate on this matter? No? Happy to I'll put it to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. We go down to 4.1, which is notice of rescind resolution code of meeting practice. Can I have one of the councillors who put this in move and second it, please? It's the code of meeting practice. Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie, happy to second. Councillor Ring?
We can blame the Minister for Local Government for this. We were told we had to formally adopt a new code of meeting practice by a set date. We were ready to do it, and then he brought out a new code of meeting practice. We have gone through this and discussed it at information session, and I believe that the draft in front of us encapsulates the practices that we've been undertaking for the last 12 months or so. There are some changes, but that's out of our hand. It's a mandatory document. There's very little free play in it. So we need to amend it because by the end of January, regardless, it's in place and we have to adhere to it.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Ring, sorry. Councillor Marnie.
I think Councillor Ring summed it up. I won't speak to it any further, just noting that it will be placed on public exhibition for 28 days and members be allowed 42 days in which to comment on the draft code. It is one of the activities we undertake that the community take a fairly significant interest in, how our meetings are run, how we make our decisions. So I think there will be some interested parties out there in the community who will be interested in reviewing the code of meeting practice. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Any further debate or commentary on this matter? No? I'll just say a few things. Webinars and training are being provided by the Office of Local Government. They're also looking at clinics, which is really important. This is the new Local Government Minister's Code. There's a lot of this that's mandatory and we don't have a choice but move forward with this. Councillor Ring, any right of reply to that?
No, thank you.
I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Councillor Tysus, you have a question on notice, which is 5.1. It's been responded to. Would you like to ask any questions in regards to
No, I've got no questions, Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Tysus, you've got another question on notice 5.2. Would you like to ask any questions on that?
No questions.
Thank you. We're now at business of great urgency. Is there any business of great urgency? No?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you. Sorry. Councillor Evangelides and then Councillor Fredericks.
I just wanted to know when are we doing the laser etching on the pavement, the pavers on Main Street? I know. There's a little test bit which I thought was really good, but before the rain we've had, it's been nice to know.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah.
Do we have any response for Councillor?
We're in the process of scheduling that at the moment. We did need to wait to apply it for the surface temperatures to increase. Otherwise, adhesion becomes a bit of a problem. But staff in the process of scheduling that. I'll get an update to councillors in the next week or so.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evangelista. Councillor Fredericks.
Just a question to do with Bayonet Street. It's been over a month since a big hole was dug up and metal plates were placed over the top with asphalt to seal it in. The asphalt has now started to deteriorate. It is still leaking. It's a safety issue. And Bathurst 1000 is 2 weeks away. The motor inn is going to be filled to the brim with tourists. And that's what they're going to see entering and exiting. And it is going to be spoken about at Bathurst. It'll be spoken about when they go home. Like, it's a main vein road. Like, that hole shouldn't have been dug and then just had metal plates put over the top of that hole.
Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Mr. Edgecombe, can we take that on board and have that managed? I understand that Councillor Fredericks did actually send an email. Mr. Gurney, would you like to respond?
Through you, Mayor, and thank you for your email today, Councillor Fredericks. The Bayonet Street, that section of Bayonet Street that has issues, was discussed at the most recent Infrastructure Committee meeting. And we also had a discussion following receipt of your email at our executive team meeting this morning. So we'll be able to get a response to you, I would hope, tomorrow or this week. Yeah.
You happy with that? Yep, great. Thank you for raising it. If there's no further urgent business, I need to ask the public that we're about to go into.
Excuse me.
Yes, Councillor Statham.
May I ask a what I consider an urgent
Sure, what would you like
question,
to ask?
please? Over the last 3 weeks, I have been asked on several occasions what's happening down at the transfer centre, the recycled.
Yeah.
Apparently, there isn't enough staff there. They're blocking people off, and they've told a matter the other day that I was quite concerned about to a gentleman that anything that doesn't go, even though it's all free, they just put it into landfill. And I haven't seen it on Facebook, but apparently there's been a lot of comments on Facebook that are very serious. We don't need to let that deteriorate because it's absolutely a great source for all our local government area. And I'd just like to know, you may have to take it on notice, why is there less staff? Why are they cutting down the hours? And in particular, of course, is what's happening. It's gone from being one of our greatest assets to something that according to many people, is very different and very, very wrong. It's not okay.
Thank you, Councillor Statham, for raising it. Mr. Trapp, can you take that on notice and bring it back to the councillors? Are you happy with that, Councillor Statham, or would you like to make a comment now, Mr. Gurney? You happy to wait? We'll
Mayor Statham, if I could just to comment on that, it was discussed at the last infrastructure meeting on waste and waste. Matt's meeting. Shops around these couple of months, but we are looking at organising an on-site visit down to the waste facility, and we are looking at different models that have been used and can be used moving forward.
Oh.
So the issue has been discussed and it is being looked into.
Thank you.
Can I be invited to that on-site meeting, please?
And any council can come once it's organised.
Thank you. I understand that it's to be next week, Councillor Statham.
Postponed.
Oh, it's been changed.
It's been changed.
Oh, okay, so it's been changed. But yes, you'll get an invite. Thank you for that. All right. We need to go into closed council, but the first thing I need to do is ask the public, do we need to go into closed council? I'm sorry, but if there's no objections, you'll need to leave.
Could we just have a quick 10-minute break first before we go into closed council?
Happy to do that. We'll have this moved first. So if you would, Councillor Fredericks, if you could move the recommendation that council resolved to move into closed council.
Yep.
And Councillor Marty's happy to second that. If there's no opposition, that's carried. And if you want to go off for a 10-minute break, you can now. Welcome back to council. I'll just hand over to the General Manager, who will read out the recommendations from closed council.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. Item 7.1, variation to access licence deed. Proposed water pipeline to McPhillamys Gold project. Council resolved that council approve the deed of variation of access licence deed, and to delegate authority to the General Manager to sign all documents and do all things necessary to give effect to the deed of variation of access licence deed.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
I was wondering whether you would read the next one out because the General Manager wasn't here and it concerns him.
Yep,
today.
not a
I think
problem.
It's appropriate for him to read it out.
Happy to do that. The next item that was supported by council was that council note the information provided by the General Manager's 2024-25 performance review and the 2025-26 performance agreement. 2, confirm the membership of the General Management's performance review panel, currently comprised of the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Marnie's General Manager's nominee. And that was the end of that. Thank you.
I've got a matter arising, Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
We're back in council. We need to nominate another councillor to replace myself on that committee.
Absolutely. Who would like to be on this committee? Councillor Evangelides? Are you nominating Councillor? I'm happy to nominate you, Councillor Evangelides. Can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Goodwin? Is there any opposition? No? Carried. Thank you. We'll put that in the minutes. If there's no further on that, the meeting is now closed. Thank you and good night.